Have you ever been bullied? Have you ever felt like you were that square peg in a round hole, or the missing jigsaw piece? Were you ever told by your teachers that you will be nothing? Just the other day, I was sharing with a friend about my life and where it began and where it is now. And I thought it was about time I shared it with you as well. I grew up a happy child, but I was always happy with my own company. I enjoyed playing by myself. At age 6, I gave my life to the Lord. I grew up in a Christian home, had a loving family. My father was a pastor. But my love for music began to grow, and I started singing when I was 10. But life wasn't always easy. Even though I grew up in that Christian home, even though I knew that my family loved me, I felt something missing. I felt alone at times and different. When I was at school, I struggled. I struggled academically. I struggled with creating friendships and containing friendships and holding friendships with other children. In high school, I really struggled. I struggled real hard. I had teachers tell me that you would be nothing. And to this day, I fight against those things. I share all this because for you to understand the person I am today, there has to be a foundation. And sometimes that foundation isn't a very nice foundation. It was during that time in school, in my teenage years, that I grew to love Christian music and rock music especially. I remember I went home and I had the old cassette recorder recording myself pretending to be a DJ playing top Christian rock music. Little did I know what that would entail later on in life. But I knew what it was like to be bullied by other children. I felt, as I said, that square peg in a round hole. I felt unloved, unwanted, and felt different. I continued and left school at 16 and pursued the career of a chef. I trained and went to college and thought, this is what it's going to be. This is going to be life. So I put my heart and my soul into my cooking, into my everything. I put my heart, my soul into my cooking and into just my job and just continue to work. But still at the back, there was this longing to be liked. At the back of my mind, there was this longing to be liked by others, to be liked by my peers. And I loved music. I loved singing. And I had this desire to be famous one day. And that was what I fought when I was younger, to be famous. I got involved in church life. I began to learn to play the organ. That was my first instrument. That my grandmother paid for lessons for me. Whilst at college, I started hanging around with a Christian group of friends. And I had some close friends. But again, even in those circles, people picked on me. And I felt, again, out of place. I felt entitled that I had to be better. I felt I wasn't good enough for the people around me. Have you ever been there? I'm sure many of us have. Then later on in life, I got married. But before I got married, I wasn't very good to my now wife. I lied. I didn't treat her right. I didn't treat her right at the start of our marriage. And if you were to switch off right now, I wouldn't blame you. I wasn't a nice person at all to be around. But please, if you're still with me, bear with me, because this is going somewhere. As I said earlier on, there has to be foundations to where a person is in life right now. And although my foundations are not great, this is me. This is what makes me the person I am today. Things have got better. I've had children and we have a really good marriage, but I've had to work at it, and it's been over 20 years. I love my wife deeply, but I didn't treat her right. But I want you to understand that when you see somebody like me here today, the person I am today is not because I'm great at everything, that I'm an eloquent speaker, that I can sing well or play the guitar well. Because, to be honest with you, I struggle with those things. In the back of my mind, the enemy comes and he's telling me, you're not good enough. Do you ever hear those voices in your head? You're not good enough. Well, that's me. To be honest with you, this video is very difficult for me to make, but I felt I needed to share it with you. I know that you face struggles, that you perhaps have had a similar life to me. So you need to understand the sort of person that I am. Well, I have 2 children now, 2 loving children that I love deeply, and I spend a lot of time with them. And I do that because as a child growing up, even though I was in a Christian home, my father spent more time with other people and in church life, and I felt left out. I have 2 sisters, and I know they love me deeply, and I grew a close connection with one of them from a young age. But it's made me realize in life that life is not always smooth sailing. There's rocky roads, and I've been through them. But I didn't always play guitar. I didn't even know how to play guitar. I bought a guitar foolishly, and it sat there for 4 years. 4 years, and I never touched it. I wrote songs years ago and let them gather the dust because I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think my songs were good enough. I didn't think anything I did was good enough. But I've come to realize that with God, He has a plan for my life. So I picked that guitar up after 4 years of gathering dust. I went searching for my lyrics and of the songs and started to pen and write new songs. I taught myself how to play guitar, not very well. In fact, I still don't think I'm a great guitarist. I don't even think I'm a great singer. There's better guitarists, there's better singers out there than I am. But I had this determination that I wasn't going to listen to the past of a teacher telling me that I wasn't going to be good enough for anything. I wasn't prepared to have that feeling of being that square peg in a round hole anymore, or that missing jigsaw piece, or going back to my life being bullied. There was a fight, there was a grit, there was a determination that I was going to be better than that. I was going to treat my wife right. I was going to treat my children right. I was going to be a different person. And so, during that time, I pushed myself. I pushed myself and involved myself in church work and preaching and leadership, and I got so much involved in the work of God. It was in 2003 that I went into a recording studio for the very first time. I hadn't a clue what I was going to do. I had 3 songs that I'd written, and my wife's a great pianist, so she played the piano. I didn't play guitar. I didn't play guitar in 2003, and I recorded an album. And to be honest with you, it was okay. People who enjoyed it were mostly my family and people from my churches and the people I was around. But at the back of my mind, even though I'd done that, I still felt I can do better. And you know, sometimes in life we have to fight for where we need to be. And we have to allow God to come in and fight for us. So I picked up this friendship with a friend in Venezuela who now lives in Brazil. And he helped me with my music. So everything that you hear prior to 2024 is my friend playing all the music for me. Recording, producing, and I doing the simple thing. And how that works is simple. I record myself singing or writing a song or playing a song on the guitar, and I send it to him. But it's taken years for me to be where I am today. And things are still not easy. I still feel vulnerable when you see me playing the guitar and leading you in worship. I still feel vulnerable when I'm sharing God's word with you every morning. When you see me in front of this camera, I still feel vulnerable because anything could happen at any time. But here I am today, changed. Why? Because God has always got a plan. He's got a plan for you, and he had a plan for me. And I sit here today sharing this story because I know that you need to hear it today. You needed to hear the struggles that we all face. You needed to hear my story, and maybe it's similar to your story, because at the end of the day, without God, we're nothing. But God has shaped me into the person that I am today. I still mess up. I still don't get things right, but I'm a changed person because I've allowed God to come and change me. I no longer have a desire to be famous. I no longer have a desire to be signed to a record label or putting my music out all over the world, because God has shown me that everything that was said to me, that I would be nothing, is that they were wrong. My music's played all over the world on radio and streamed everywhere. I have a radio show. I have a couple of radio shows. I love doing radio. I love doing music. I love sharing God's word with you. I love leading worship. I love writing songs, performing. But remember this, behind all of this, there's a vulnerable man. But I trust God as I live this life now for him. And I want you to trust him. Thanks for listening.